Hey, it's Matt Moscona. You found it. It's AFR LSU, your home for daily content on your favorite team, Fighting Tigers of LSU. And we're proud to be presented by BetUS, where this football season, get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use the promo code YouTube150. Now, enjoy the video. UCLA play in the state of Louisiana for the first time in their football history. Ooh, tough ask for the Bruins coming on the road. A 24.5-point underdog. Bryan Fenley covers the Bruins, does their official football post-game show as well. They're on AM 570 out in L.A. He's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Hey, Bryan, welcome back, man. How are you?
I'm great. Great to be talking to you again.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it. Look, no other way to say it. I mean, it's been a rough start. Give me some context on what it's like around the Bruins program right now, 2 games and 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, the energy is pretty low right now. I think people thought that Eric Bieniemy would have the offense rolling by this stage, and clearly that hasn't come yet. Not to say it won't come, but it hasn't come. There's been reports about, his system being really complex, and the guy's not really getting it, and I think the biggest struggle right now is the offensive line. But if you go on social media, Matt, I've never heard of a one-loss team. I mean, UCLA did get beat in their Big Ten home opener, but it was as if that one loss meant that there was going to be a loss every game the rest of the year. And I'm not saying that can't happen. Of course, there is a possibility. But the fans took one lopsided loss, and now are saying to themselves, they don't even think UCLA is going to win another game this year. And I'm not going to go that far.
Okay, we could pull up big picture in a second. Let's kind of narrow the focus a little bit. So you mentioned struggles on the offensive line. What is sort of the culprit there?
The culprit is that UCLA has not done a good job in recruiting. And the way that Chip Kelly left the program, he left it after sort of the coaching cycle had passed, and a lot of the transfers and that market and all of that had passed as well. So UCLA under Deshaun Foster was put in a really tough position. They have 2 transfers on the O-line that they were able to snag. The problem is they're not getting any push on the offensive line. And this is a team that has a really good running back and they're not able to exploit that. And the pass protection might be the only thing that this team is okay at. Beyond that, you get tight ends, you get running backs that are trying to block, pick up guys that are rushing for the quarterback, and they're missing their blocks. There's a lot of miscommunication going on, a lot of missed assignments, and the UCLA, their offense, has scored over the first 2 games a total of 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown per game. That is not going to get it done, and too many times the offense puts the defense in a horrible position because all of a sudden it's 14-0 before you know it, and now you're forcing things. And there's a lot of chaos going on right now, and I get the state of the program and where it is, but I mean the predecessor of a head coach, he deserves some of the blame too, because UCLA. I mean, Deshaun Foster was the running backs coach for the Raiders. He had left the program. They brought him back to be the head coach after Chip decided to leave, after a lot of the coaching carousel merry-go-round opportunities come and pass. And it's just a team that is hurting for depth right now, I think, at the O-line position, and they don't have the quality right now.
We'll get right back to the video, but it's a great time to discover BetUS if you haven't done so yet. If you love to sports bet, you need to use BetUS. If you've never sports bet, it's time to find BetUS. It's simple, y'all, and right now they got an amazing offer. Go to BetUS, you get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Why wouldn't you take advantage of this amazing offer? Make sure you use the promo code YouTube150. It's all right here on the screen. Let me show you how easy it is to use BetUS. Go to BetUS, you'll hit the football tab on the left side, choose college football. All of your games are listed right here. So there's Saturday, September the 21st. We're going to scroll to that 2:30 window, and we're going to find LSU. I guess it's 3:30 technically Eastern, but we're going to find LSU against UCLA. Here it is in Tiger Stadium. Tigers, a massive favorite, 24.5. That's what happens, UCLA, when you go get your head kicked in at home by Indiana. Listen, I know I told you I'll take LSU last week. I picked them 31-13 against South Carolina. Let's be honest. Tigers had 2 red zone possessions where they came away with no points and gave away 2 long runs to South Carolina. So I get it. Those things happen, but the Tigers were on the doorstep of a blowout. I don't know how UCLA keeps this close. I know 24.5 is a lot, but let's lay those points with the Tigers. We'll come over to the right side of the page. It'll ask you how much you want to wager. Let's go $25. Easy enough. Place my bet. It's going to ask us to confirm. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. And here is your confirmation of the bet right there. It's just that easy at BetUS. So take advantage of this great offer right now. 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits, up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150. It's all right here on the screen. Now, enjoy the rest of the video. What is the strength, perceived or otherwise, on the offensive side?
The strength is the wide receivers. They've got Rico Flores, a transfer from Notre Dame, who is outstanding. They just can't get the ball to him. They've got Michael Sturtevant, a transfer from Cal, and they can't get the ball to these guys. They've got arguably one of the best wide receiver cores in the conference of the Big Ten, and they can't get the ball to them. They can't convert on third downs. They can't stay on the field. I think UCLA maybe converted 3 third downs on offense in their game against Indiana. They have really solid running back play, but it's the same saga over and over. It's you go 3 and out, you go 3 and out. You can't develop a rhythm, and you've got a veteran presence and a quarterback who's very familiar with UCLA. He's a redshirt senior, transfer from Washington. His brother was the quarterback for many years at Cal. And you've got Ethan Garbers as the QB. And look, I love the guy, but he's lost out there. And I'm not saying it's his fault. He's talked a little bit, Matt, about how the guys are going over to each other's houses and studying the playbook like it's a homework assignment, even the week going into a game. And I've never heard that before. And I know Eric Bieniemy's offense is really complex, and he's got a great history. But I don't know how much Eric is willing to adapt and to be willing to say, hey, maybe I shouldn't be as set in my ways and I need to adapt to the new age college kid and simplify things. Because I think right now there's no simplification in the offense. And you look at Ethan Garbers, he's locking onto receivers before he throws, and he's throwing picks. Guys just aren't in the right positions, running routes, blocking schemes. Offensively, they're in a really tough spot right now.
Bryan Fenley's our guest. He's on Twitter at Bryan Fenley, Bryan, if you want to give him a shout there on Twitter X. Hey, flip it over, Bryan. Obviously, it's not been good offensively. Defensively, the game against Hawaii was competitive. I mean, it came down to a field goal right there at the end, but Indiana really got going. Which is more likely the UCLA we continue to see, the defense that was there against Hawaii on the island, or the defense there in the Rose Bowl against Indiana last Saturday?
Yeah, I think the problem with the UCLA defense right now is there are some holes in the secondary. And with the run and shoot offense that Hawaii did, and I think even Indiana at times, UCLA, and they would be the first to tell you, they're getting burned on the quick hitters. The quick catch and run up the field. UCLA is playing too conservative with their coverage, and so wide receivers are getting the ball in space, and you're getting chunk plays. They're getting electrifying plays, and the problem is that UCLA doesn't have a pass rusher. Leatu Latu, the first rounder, onto the NFL. They haven't been able to really dig into the transfer portal and get somebody good. And then the other problem is, Matt, arguably their best player on defense, who is an NFL guy, Jay Toia, reports are this week, he is basically an interior defensive lineman. He's our only hope. There are reports that he hasn't been practicing this week because of an injury. So the best part of the defense is the linebacking core. Kane Medrano, and I know that I listened to Brian Kelly talk this week, and he mentioned his name in the press conference leading up to the game. Kane Medrano is our only hope. We have a lack of dudes on the line. We can't develop a pass rush. So, as I've heard others talk about, maybe against LSU, you drop 8 and you see what you can do and get back into coverage. But I did see an adjustment for the defense in the second half against Hawaii, where they did play tighter coverage with the corners. That seemed to help. But you got to be able to score, and UCLA right now, they just can't do that right now.
Bryan, is there? I understand. I've seen a little UCLA. It's really tough. Is there anything that you look at with this team right now and say, here's a reason to believe they can turn the corner?
They have a coach that loves this university, and he is going to recruit hard. I'm not saying that he's going to turn it around this year. Sure. I would love to see that. But here's the one thing, Matt, that I've noticed is that coaches, you love the fiery coaches, because you're looking at ways to motivate players. I love Deshaun Foster. Deshaun Foster, and he'd be the first to tell you, he's an introvert. He's not the fiery guy on the sideline. He's not going to scream during games and get his guys riled up. And the same thing could be said for the quarterback. Ethan Garbers is a little bit more soft-spoken. So when you've got the face of your team pretty quiet and a coach that's a little quiet, this team, and they were called out a little bit in practice this week from reports based on not having enough energy in practice. So who are the guys that are going to bring the energy? Who are the enforcers? Who are the guys that are going to say, it doesn't have to be the head coach, but coaches to come in and say, guys, what are we doing out there? Holding people accountable and bringing an energy. I would love to incentivize the players. I know Ole Miss, they bring a basketball hoop out, on the sidelines. The guys are dunking, or they're wearing like chains and clocks, like they're Flava Flav or something. Like like UCLA, they need to do something like that, because right now there's a lethargy that I think I love Deshaun, but there needs to be an energy there to get these guys going and kind of push them a little bit harder, because right now they're kind of going with the emotional mood of the coach, and that's just who he is. He's just a calm demeanor guy, and he's more of a guy who's gonna walk the walk and not just talk the talk.
Bryan, I got a couple more things for you.
Sure.
I am also really interested in UCLA's travel this year. Fox put up a graphic that was like the UCLA travel schedule. Yeah, and it's like the plane going from L.A. to Hawaii, then back to L.A., then to Baton Rouge, and then back to L.A., and then to Penn State across the country. Yeah. It's insane. How much of a conversation is this, the travel, and how this might weigh on this team as well?
I think it definitely is an issue, no question. I mean, your first game, you're going out to Hawaii. You've got, as you said, we're going to go out to Rutgers, Penn State, all of these other teams that are on the East Coast. But at the end of the day, this is what UCLA signed up for. Yep. This is an athletic program that really is in the red, big deficit. They needed to join this conference to allow themselves to get out of the red. There is a huge financial deficit within the UCLA athletic program. And so with that, they needed to take these vast and desperate measures. And so this is what they're going to get. I still don't know how they're going to do on some of those road trips that you said, like they're going out to the East Coast. One of the problems with UCLA is the first two games, they get really rattled emotionally. Some of the players have talked about this, where it's like they let their emotions take over too much. They get too charged up, maybe nerves, maybe it's apprehension. And you're going into these big environments like LSU. The UCLA has never seen a crowd like this. Obviously, as you pointed out, they've never played at LSU. But I don't know how they're going to handle that environment, the players. Is it going to be overwhelming? Probably. Does that mean they're going to lose? I mean, a lot of people think they are, and most people are probably right in that sense of where the team stands right now. But the way the team handles itself early in games in those big environments, in these big venues, whether it's like, yeah, you said, It's Penn State. It's LSU. UCLA is the cool temper. They're way too emotional, and they make mistakes. I mean, the first play from scrimmage against Indiana for UCLA last week was a fumble. The very first play. You had a bye week the week before. You had 2 weeks after going into Hawaii and trailing in that game for 59 and a half of the 60 minutes, finally making the field goal at the very, very end to win the game. And then you get 2 weeks, and then the very first play from scrimmage, Ethan Garbers fumbles the football. Indiana falls on it. There's something there emotionally where the guys need to be kept in check here, and that's why these major environments are going to be scary.
Hey, Brian, last thing. If there is a blueprint for UCLA to pull, which sounds like it would be a really significant upset, if there is a blueprint, what does that look like?
That's a great question, Matt. And I think that what's going to have to be done is that you're going to have to show some sort of balance in the run game and the pass game. I know in studying up on LSU this week, I know that, offensive line hasn't been getting the ravest of reviews. So if UCLA can somehow generate a pass rush, if they can get out of their own way in the form of penalties, I know LSU has had some issues with penalties in the season to start and getting themselves behind the sticks. If UCLA can manage that, if they can make it competitive going into the fourth quarter, to me, that is a win. What does that look like? If UCLA goes into the fourth quarter and they're within 2 touchdowns, I'm going to be very, very happy.
Okay.
Honestly, that's where I am right now. But developing some sort of synergy, running game has just gone nowhere. The passing game isn't great. Get guys the rock in open space, and defensively find a pass rush. I haven't seen it yet. If it's going to show up against an offensive line like LSU, that would be our only hope.
He's Bryan Fenley, Fox Sports Radio, and you'll hear him for the UCLA Post Game show there on AM 570. Hey, man, by the way, are you making the trip, or are you staying back in L.A.?
I'm staying back in L.A., but if I was, I would definitely hit you guys up because I'd love to see you all there.
Man, it's what the UCLA fans that are going to make the trip, but it'll be a cultural experience, I'll tell you that much. Brian, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for watching the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video, and remember to support BetUS, where right now you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150.